Time to start the recording. And welcome everybody to the week 1 live session for the TEM class. My name is Chris Newton. I am your host for these live sessions all through the entire month of April. Just a little bit about me. I've been in game development for roughly about 6 years. I used to work over at EA Tiburon. I worked on Madden 06, NCAA 06, NASCAR Thunder, all the good stuff as a texture artist for them. And then I ended up going into the Oculus type of stuff for the VR, where I ended up starting to develop for them specifically. I have been with them for 4 years now. I have been giving them feedback for their new equipment and everything like that. But previously, I used to be a computer systems engineer where I was building client-server networks for Fortune 500 companies up in Chicago. Previously to that, I was a network administrator, a DSL installer, computer repair tech. I have had all certifications in all computer fields for quite a long time. So I have been out there in the tech industry for quite a long time. But after my little stint into gaming and stuff like that, Full Sail ended up pulling me in, and I wanted to try out teaching a little bit. So I have actually been teaching with Full Sail for roughly 10 years, and I decided to go back to school again, and this time I enrolled in mobile development. And I am currently month 18 out of the 29-month degree program, so I am fairly into it right now. I am already into the Swift development stuff for iOS, and that is taking up quite a bit of time, and it's really, really interesting to learn. But trust me, for those of you who are in mobile development, it gets really intense, but it's really awesome to kind of see how these mobile applications are developed and how they actually get put together. But that is pretty much who I am. I have been with the TEM class itself for roughly 2 years now. Before then, I taught creative presentation, which I know all of you probably really loved and enjoyed that class immensely. Nathan's like, yuck. Trust me, I don't disagree with that. But for me, I actually had to get into something that I truly enjoyed, and being able to talk with other gaming geeks and nerds and stuff like that, it really makes my day every time I go to work now to be able to talk to other individuals who are interested in gaming. So again, I have been in kind of with games since the early 70s. So I have been, and I get to see how the grading and the development of games have gone through over the centuries already. So it's quite a lot of interesting opportunities that are out there. But I have been with games for a very long time now. This is going on almost 40 years. And again, it's really interesting to keep up with the times, see where all the technology and where the trends are going for games and technology itself. And that's pretty much what this class is trying to get you to understand, is to get you a better idea and understanding of what your degree program and what your industry actually entails. Oh, you want a reboot of Dragon's Lair? Yeah, that would be an interesting one. But ultimately, this class is strictly to get you geared up to find out what your industry is all about and what you're going to be doing throughout your degree program. So ultimately, again, we want to make sure that you are definitely in the right degree program. And because, again, nothing's worse than being able to go about 12 months into what you're currently doing and then suddenly realizing that it really wasn't what you truly signed up for. So that's the reason why this class exists. We want you to be able to understand what you're getting yourself into, and if you actually did make the right choice, and if not, you are able to switch without much hassle, without kind of having to start all over again. But again, I've been with gaming for quite a while. I have been in the technology thing. I am a big film buff. I am a big anime geek, so you'll probably end up hearing me suddenly come out with, it's over 9,000 and stuff like that. So just be aware. I really like to, keep it informal with you guys and enjoy and pretty much have a good enjoyment on this. So, without further ado, what we're also wanting you to do is look at when you're reading the assignments and everything, we want to make sure that you're putting them into context. With the assignments and stuff, we're trying to get you to start looking at your industries, researching what they're all about instead of just saying, hey, I just want to make games. There's more to it than just that. There's always more context to that. So we want to bring some self-awareness and pretty much how you can be successful out there through networking and stuff like that, so you get a better idea of what your degree program is. Then there's also skill building. When you're out in these industries, the attention to detail is really, really important, because when you're out there, all the game industries and the technology industries really, really want you to make sure that what you're giving to the customer is fairly detailed. It meets the deadlines. If anything goes wrong, you do have the proper communication skills and are able to problem solve. Because if you really think about it, if you ended up going into a job and then the very first thing is you run into a problem and then you throw your hands up in the air and say, I don't know what to do, I give up, that's not problem solving. So we want you to make sure that you are able to start building these skills, so when you do get out in the industry, you become those great industry professionals that I know all of you can actually become. So we want you to get all these cool skills. That way, when you are in the industry, you can revolutionize them. Because again, if you really think about it, just the games industry alone, how many times do we actually need another Call of Duty before somebody tries to get something much more original? Same thing with films and stuff like that. How many reboots, remakes, trilogies, sequels, franchises do we really need before someone actually creates something new? I'm already seen Batman's origin story so many times, I don't need to know it again anymore. Same thing with Spider-Man. So each individual that goes out into these industries with fresh new ideas is already a way to be able to change these industries for the better, to really bring out some new ideas, new fresh content that will allow these industries to stay afloat and bring some really cool revolutionary type of things into them that will, benefit them from years to come. So you all are the ones that are now the soon future industry professionals that are going to be out there that will actually help affect this change. So these are the types of skills that we really want you to start thinking about. Learning how to troubleshoot, learning how to problem solve, get the attention to detail, make sure that your communication skills are effective, being able to work within deadlines. So we really want you to get this all built up. So over the course of this month, we are going to be making sure that you delve more into your industry as well as networking. So for week 1, what we're going to be doing is you're going to be working on a plan of attack and the industry websites. So ultimately what the week 1 is focusing on is the schedule and the exploration. We want you to kind of get an idea of what you're going to be doing over the course of the whole entire month, kind of laying out a blueprint of what times can you actually work on your assignments, what other aspects of your life that you actually need to do, kind of like making a little bit of a calendar. And then with the industry websites, we're wanting you to go out and explore all the different types of material that is out there in your industry and learn about that. Absorb that information that is out there, because we want you to start thinking about trends and where that technology is going. Because if you really think about it, what is the pretty much the legal retirement age for an American citizen? 562? Woo! That's a long time. It's over 9,000. No, I'm just kidding. It's actually 67. The legal retirement age is 67. So if you really think about it, for some of you, that is probably several decades from now. And just think of it this way. Especially with mobile development itself, if you really think about that, mobile development has only been around for roughly 7 years. So back then in the early 90s, I wasn't really thinking about being an actual mobile developer because there was no such thing as that. So as you're going through your programs here, you also have to think about where your industry is actually going to be going in 20, 30 years, how it's going to evolve, and what you're actually going to be doing, because, you know, having like several decades of time, you don't know where the actual future will end up becoming. Who knows? We may end up just being able to plug it ourselves in, and, you know, we're in the Matrix, and that's how our games are going to be from now on. So ultimately, we want you to kind of think of where all of this is going, where you want to be in the future, where the trends are, so you can start thinking about this type of stuff. I'm not retiring until my body fails. Trust me, it happens really quick once you get over that hill. I tell you, every time I wake up, I get a new creak and groan. And I'm like, well, that wasn't there before. But as you see, then in week 2, we're giving you some research and context. We're wanting you to research your industry and where you're looking at it, where it's going to grow and stuff like that, and look up some industry terms so you can get some good context of some of the lingo that is out there in your industries itself. Then, of course, with week 3, you're then starting to use more research and plan ahead for success. This is where the missions, the networking plan comes into play, and writing a mission statement. Then week 4 is all about reflecting on what, over the course of the month, you're going to do a reflection video, and then you're going to do a spotlight. You're going to listen to other industry professionals that are out there, and you're going to reflect on what they are talking about so you can get some good information, because again, this whole course is designed specifically for you to get a good idea of what your industry is all about. Don't worry, Michael, we're all bad at videos at one point in time. But again, this is over the course of the 4 weeks. Just remember, though, that between week 1 and week 2, we do have the spring break. So from April 2nd to April 6th, you will not have any classes to be able to deal with. You won't have any homework to do, things like that. If you want to take the initiative and get ahead, you're more than welcome, because we have all the assignments open for the entire month. However, if you want to be able to just take that time to breathe, relax, go and just unwind and stuff like that, that's what the spring break is all for. And then you will be coming back on the 9th, and then that's when week 2 actually starts. Yes, Crystal, if you want to continue ahead into like week 2 and turn in stuff over the spring break, you're more than welcome to do that. But again, it's not necessary. We do encourage you guys to, you know, kind of take it and relax and do some fun things out there, because once you get out of the TEM class and the English comp class, it really starts picking up. No, Devin, if you're going to take the spring break, just leave the spring break completely out of it. Just instantly start with week 2 and week 3 and week 4 and fill those out. You don't have to actually implement the spring break in that. As long as you do have week 1, week 2, week 3, and week 4 in it, you're perfectly fine. Correct, Jason. If you want to go above and beyond, like the video says, that's pretty much what you can actually do. Yeah. Yes, Matthew. If you do weeks 2 during spring break, you can then do week 3 and week 4 after that as well. It's all up to you on how you want to be able to do that, but only if you want to. All right. So there's some actual strategies for success. And one of the big ones is always make sure that you read the assignments on FSO. Not only just the stuff that is showing in FSO, but there's also the instruction PDFs. Please make sure that you download those and read them as well. Watch all the videos that we have. These things are highly important because, yes, Thomas, if you can actually do that and you feel confident, you can pretty much complete the whole class in 1 week. We give that option. So, yes, Kyle, you will be able to watch this later. I am recording it right now. 3 weeks, 3 weeks spring break. Hey, if you want to do it, by all means. But then after you watch the videos and stuff like that, make sure that you read the rubrics. The rubrics are the ones that we actually grade off of. So you will see the rubrics in with the actual PDF instructions. All you have to do is just scroll to the last page, and the rubrics will be in there. But also one of the major things here is if you do have any questions, make sure that you do ask your instructor for clarifications. We are there and are very, very helpful. So again, just reach out. Just keep in mind, though, that quite a few of us do not work over the weekends. So if you suddenly send an email like on Saturday evening or something, it most likely will not get answered until Monday morning. During the week, Monday through Friday, Matthew, typically I am in my office from 9 a.m. till about 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you are in my class, then you can easily email and I will end up sending you a message right back right then and there. But if you send it after 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, it probably will not get answered until the next morning. Yeah, so 8 to 4 for you. No daylight savings. It's pretty much, I do the 9 to 5, you know, the working 9 to 5. So ultimately, it's just one of those cool things. And then once I get off, I kind of do the close the door and say I hate everybody type of thing. And then that's when I actually play video games or doing my own homework. How many classes do I teach? I'm only currently doing the TEM class right now, but eventually I'll most likely end up branching out further. So you may end up seeing me in a later class one day. Austin, PC all the way. You're doing a raid right after this. That's awesome. But for me, I'm probably going to end up doing homework right after this for my mobile development stuff. So, yay. All right. So for the plan of attack, this one is going to make sure that you are creating the plan of attack here. You're going and making sure that you fill out all 4 weeks of the calendar that you are given. Okay. You can eliminate the spring break week because we don't really need to know that. All we need to know is the 4 weeks that you are in this class. I know PYP ended up having you do it week by week, but this one is the full month all at once. Okay? So make sure all 4 weeks are completed and filled out. And what we're wanting you to do in that one is just making sure that you end up filling in everything with some good detail so we kind of know exactly what you're doing and what you have planned. And you also need to make sure that you're creating a backup plan because, again, just in case if, say, hey, your internet is down for a little bit, where can you actually go to be able to get internet capabilities? Can you use your phone for a hotspot? Are you able to go to, like McDonald's and use their free Wi-Fi, things like that. So ultimately, you want to make sure that you also have backup plans just in case. Yes, Sierra, if you do put the 5 weeks in there, that is perfectly fine. But again, if you don't want to, you can remove the actual, the spring break one. Matthew, what kind of computer are you using right now? The HP Envy? That should be fine, but if you the biggest one is if you don't have another computer, you could probably use your smartphone. If you can use it on with Google Drive and stuff like that, that would probably be the next best thing. Or you can always hit the library up and use one of their computers. But ultimately, again, it's pretty good to have a backup plan on this stuff. How specific? Detailed enough so we can actually know what's going on, Kawana, because if you just put like school, while that is okay, it's like, well, what specifically are you doing for school? Like, kind of list out the different types of assignments that you're doing. If you have work, you can just put work. If you're like walking the dog, you can just say walk the dog, things like that. That would be perfect enough for that. Yes, we're gonna actually get into more of how the actual plan of attack is going. I'm almost there. So, the plan of attack. Ultimately, you should have seen the actual template that we give you guys. And what you're going to be doing is you're going to be filling out that full calendar from front to back. I know PYP ended up having it week by week, but for us, we want the whole thing completed all at once. Don't worry about if you are unsure about future things. Just put them in place as kind of an idea of what's going on. Ashley, did you by chance watch one of the videos that actually shows how to do the one-page setup? Because typically that's just going under File, Print, and then select Page Setup, and then from there you should be able to set it from landscape or a or portrait. Still has 6 pages. There is also some videos out on Google that can also work for you on that as well. But yeah, there is a specific way of doing that type of stuff on that. But ultimately, what we want you to do is kind of use that template, fill it out, make sure that you do have the actual time estimates filled in. So is this a plan of attack for doing the class over spring break? Austin, no, you do not have to include the spring break week if you don't want to. If you want to put it in there and kind of fill that in, what's going to end up happening is you're going to have 5 weeks showing instead of the normal 4. Yes, Thomas, if you want to show the spring break a week again, just remember it's going to show 5 weeks instead of 4. All right. So again, ultimately in the top part, you're pretty much making what is called a a signature line where you're filling in your first name, last name, the section number. Now, keep in mind that the section number will be up on FSO up in the top left-hand corner. It'll say TEM 1000-0, and then the section number will be the next 2 digits after that. You can also see it with when it shows the term where it says C 2018-04, then you'll see the section number after that as well. So that's typically where those specific the section numbers are. But from there, just make sure that the whole top part is filled out. Where it's talking about a backup plan, just give us some information about that. But then in the main part of the calendar, again, just go in and fill out as much as you possibly can. You don't have to fill out every single day in there, but just give us enough information to be able to give us an idea of what you are planning to do over the course of those weeks. The signature email info, your pretty much your student email should go into that one, Kawana. All right. So then after that, there's 3 things at the right at the bottom of the actual calendar. There is the time estimates for the assignments, the actual time, and then a paragraph box. So for the estimated times, all you're doing is putting in what you think of how long those assignments would take you to complete, where it's just pretty much a guesswork. You're just kind of guessing as to how long those assignments will be complete. All of those in the time estimates should have some type of time frame that you would think, like maybe 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours. It doesn't have to be correct. Now, the actual time segment, all you're doing is filling that in for the assignments that you have actually completed and do have a record for the time. The rest of those can be left blank. For the paragraph box is pretty much giving us a statement as to where you are going to be putting this specific plan of attack to where you can actually see it every day. So you're going to write at least a couple sentences in there where you're going to be putting this. Whether you're going to stick this on your fridge, use it as background wallpaper, you're going to drop it on your phone, things like that. That's all that paragraph box is for, is just putting that information in there. All right. So I'm going to show you a few examples just to give you guys some ideas as to what these actual assignments should look like. All right. So here is one of them. And as you see here, here is that paragraph box where they went in and just talked a little bit more about the backup plan, where they're going to be able to put be able to use anything just in case if their computer is down, if their internet goes down, things like that. And then they also talk about where they're going to be putting this plan of attack to where they can actually see it every day. So that's pretty much what the paragraph box is going to be filled out with. As you see with the time estimates, all you're going to do is put some guesses as to how long those assignments will take you to complete. They do not have to be accurate. It's just quick little guesses. But all of these actually have to be filled in. For the time, the actual time that you spent, you only need to fill in the times that you have actually fit and completed assignments and you know the actual times. All right. And then as you see in here, this individual is just talking about, hey, start on 1.1, 1.2 assignments. He put his work stuff in here. He's like off, play video games, work, unknown hours, turn in, doing future, looking into future assignments. Here's the due dates, the early bird due dates and stuff like that. So ultimately, this is all you're really doing, is just putting in this type of detail in there just so we know exactly what's going on. and then you pretty much fill out all of this stuff up here. Barbara, all you need to do is just send that picture with the with your actual plan of attack. So you can actually make 2 files for that if you don't want to drop it into the actual Excel sheet as well. So you can just do the 2 things. But once the whole entire plan of attack is done, what we want you to do is kind of take a little picture of it, and then just kind of going, okay, so I'm just going to put it here. Ultimately, Nathan, I don't require it for myself, but this is part of the assignment on this, so I would say just take a picture and just tell me where it is. Now, for the colors, let me actually open up Excel for this one so you guys can get a good idea. Yes, Barbara. Don't do the pinwheel of death. Yeah, the pinwheel, the Macs are pretty interesting, but all right, cool. So we're just going to grab an empty workbook to be able to do this. So ultimately, to be able to add color in there, as you see up in the top here, you'll see this little paint bucket. All you need to do is click, hold, and drag the cells that you want to color. And then you come up to the color picker here, click down, and just say, hey, we're just going to do this. And it instantly fills in those colors. And then you can come into these areas and then type in, say, you know, work from 9 to 5. What a way to make a living. And then you can come in here and just do all of that type of stuff. So that's the easy way of being able to do colors. Again, you can just take another section, and then we can just go and say, we're going to turn this blue. You know, I'm blue. Da ba dee. Da boo die. You know, some of the cool stuff like that. But that's ultimately how to be able to add the color. Now, on Excel, on the Mac itself, this should be similar to how to be able to saving out into a PDF. Typically, what you can do is just go on to File, and when you go into Print, right now it's just showing the portrait level. You can just click on Page Setup here. I typically go under Landscape and then Fit 1:1. And what ends up happening from here is now you can see the whole entire actual Excel thing is filled out. Then you can come under here under PDF and just go Save as PDF. It'll open up the PDF, and then you can say, hey, this is a PDF. Just don't do the exclamation. And when you save that out, it saves it as a one-page thing. Don't worry if it italicizes stuff by accident. You can actually come in and just select those cells, and up on the I, you can just double click it again and see if it fixes it, but don't really worry about it too much if it stays italicized. We can still pretty much read that stuff. Don't worry, Brian, if the 3 digits, the 3 zeros in there, zooms out like that. Don't worry about that because we already assume that there's 3 zeros in front of that, so you don't have to worry about it. How would it look with the 5th week added into it? Well, again, it's typically you're going to have a few cells where you're going to add the extra stuff in there. Let's go with this one. As you can see, I like blue. Let's go with green this time. Yay. So typically all you're going to do is just extend it down a little bit. If you're using Excel, you can typically come in and click on one of the cells here, and then you can go into Insert, and it'll insert cells, and you just keep adding as many as you want, and it just kind of spaces it out from there. So there's some different ways of being able to do that. Yeah, this class tends to get quite big. So ultimately, those are some of the easy ways of being able to use Excel on stuff like that. Excel can be a little bit confusing and daunting. Yes, I do agree, Austin, especially when you start getting into the formulas where you can start going, hey, equals this, plus this, and all that stuff, and then you can start doing formulas in here. But once people get and use it, it's really, really wild. All right, so this is one of the actual completed versions of what the Excel, the plan of attack should look like, and saved out as a one-page PDF. We do have another one here. As you can see, they went with a different type of color. Again, they talk about the backup plan a little bit more in detail, and then where they're going to be putting this, you know, where they're going to be storing this specific plan of attack so they can keep it visible. As you see, they went a little bit into a little bit more detail, which is perfectly fine. But again, just as long as we can actually read the material inside of those cells and understand what you're going for in them. And then as you see, the weeks, the time estimates are all filled out. And then only the time, the actual time that they spent. And then if you want to fill in some extra notes and stuff like that, that's perfectly fine. But ultimately, this is how we are looking for this specific plan of attack. And again, when you're going through this thing, please make sure that you look at the rubrics for this, because the rubric is really, really important. This is kind of like what the pre-template was and stuff like that. But ultimately, you are creative on this stuff. Again, you can go in if you want to and change it up. I mean, here are some examples of other plans of attack that we have gotten. Like one person ended up doing like this little circular thing that was really, really cool. Others got, you know, creative and built their own templates and filled that out. Others added more imagery in there. And again, it's up to you on how you want to do this. The template is just there to help you out. But again, as long as you have all the major components in there. Richard, the actual time slots, you only fill in the times that you have actually completed the assignments. You do not have to fill the whole entire actual time column out completely, because there's some assignments that you haven't worked on just yet, so you won't be able to do that. Jason, it does have to be at least in Excel, or you can actually do this on something else. But again, as long as it meets all the criteria that we're looking for, you can be as creative as you want. You can use Google Docs. You can use Excel, the Google spreadsheets and stuff like that. Opening it up in Numbers, yeah, that's the Mac version of Excel. Yeah, if you want to go after that, Matthew, and then fill in the actual times after, you can, but we don't require you to turn this in again once you have it completed. All right, and again, here's the same type of example where we're talking about the one-page PDF. Once you open up the page setup, you just make sure that you click on landscape and then do the fit 1-to-1. And once you're done with that, you just go back in and save it as a PDF from there. You can either do it from that little side panel that I showed you, or when you do a save as, you can save it as PDF, and that should take as well. Yes, Charlie, it does have to actually be in color. We want you to kind of spruce this up a little bit and give it some visual appeal. Give it some of that visual flair. You know, like how we always stick a whole bunch of the flair on our lanyards and stuff like that. We want you to kind of show your creativity on this stuff. Give us that flair. All right. Again, you don't have to do Excel if you want. You can end up going into Google Slides and using it this way. If you want to make it look like a bee, by all means, Jason. I know I'd probably laugh at it. But ultimately, you can go through Google Drive to be able to do this type of stuff as well. Again, with Google Drive, if you do it in Google Drive, all you need to do is just go down to download as PDF document. And then when it gives you the options, you just go fit to width and just change it to landscape, because this one will be the first one. Do landscape, and then just hit export, and you'll be done. And then we did show these student examples on that. So, does anybody have any questions on the actual 1.1 plan of attack? Ubuntu. All right. So again, just remember to take a look at the rubrics for all of the assignments. Again, if you want to hit the exceptional category, just remember the actual plan of attack does need to be submitted by Friday for the early bird part. Yes, Brian, an iPad will count for a backup. Kawana, how is a backup verifiable? We just take your word for it. So again, if you want to hit the exceptional category, just make sure that all of these pieces are hit in the exceptional category. Again, these assignments are under the early bird thing. So if you submit things by Friday, you can get up to 100% credit. If you do submit after Friday, you end up getting up to a 94%. Backup plan is a stone tablet. I hope you got some chisels. No, Amanda, it has to be in by Friday to hit the exceptional. If you guys do end up seeing anything that says Wednesday, that is incorrect. It's always going to be Friday. Friday is going to be the early bird deadline. Sunday is the normal deadline, but again, if you turn it in by Sunday, you only get up to 94%. And again, just make sure that you are paying attention to the exceptional category on this. All right. So now we're going to go into the industry websites. If you're delayed, is there any way to earn extra credit to get those points back? Unfortunately, Jason, the class does not have any extra credit signed up for it. Depending on the delay, we may or may not waive the early bird, but the actual delay would end up having to be something like, oh, I was in the hospital, you know, or something really big emergency happened to where you were unable to do that. But if you're just like, hey, no, I was too busy rating and stuff like that, we'll be just going, haha, you know. First, we'd probably go, so what did you get? Did you get any good loots? But then we'd go like, well, unfortunately, you wouldn't be able to get the extra points. No, rating is not valid because even in my mobile dev, when I say wow, people are like, don't get addicted to it. Don't get addicted to it. All right. So industry websites now. This assignment is pretty cool. So for the industry website, we're primarily just giving you specific websites to review that are pretty much in your degree field that you can go and look through, read, and then you're going to be answering questions for each website that you peruse. You're also going to make sure that you add graphics and screenshots to your work, so it kind of adds more credibility and gives it, again, more of that visual appeal to it. So the actual industry websites. When you take a look at this assignment, you're going to see in the orange bar there's a link that you can actually click on. And when you click on that link, it opens up a Google Drive document. And in here is all of the different websites that you can actually take a look at. And now you will also see these CA, GA, MD things here. Keep in mind that CA means computer animation, GA means game art, MD means mobile development, SD is software development, GD is game design and development. So for those of you who are in game development and those of you who are in game design, you both fall under this specific category of GD. All right? You'll also see some that are combined. So that just means that you have more links to go to. We do have web development in here, digital arts and design, graphics design, and again, as you see, there are some that are stacked. So you will have the ability to go through all of these things and take a look at them. Now, there's quite a few in here. There's plenty more. But this is the actual site that you're going to go to and go through all of these links and utilize what we have here for you. All right? All right. So the first part of this, the link is in the actual instructions. You'll see the link up in that orange bar. Yes, Nathan, GD stands for Game Design and Development. So those who are in the game design program and the game development program will be using GD. Nathan, there's actually some more in there. Yeah, GRD is graphics design. Anything that's pretty much in your industry that would give you information, Kawana. All right, so the first part of this assignment is you're going to choose at least 3 websites from your degree or discipline, and then you're going to write at least 1 solid detailed paragraph for each site. All right, so in other words, for each website that you look at, you're going to be writing a paragraph for it. All right, so ultimately there's going to be 5 paragraphs in total for this. What you're looking for is, once you look through the websites and stuff like that, was there anything that you found that you did not know about? Was there something inspiring about it? What was one thing that you took away from the website? Go through and answer all of those questions. Yeah, unfortunately, that's the downside of the beginning classes, Richard. You do a lot of writing until your hand falls off and stuff like that. And then you're like, I can't use my mouse. All right, so the first 3 websites are from your degree field. You're writing a paragraph for each. Then the second part is choosing 2 websites from a different degree field. And then you're doing the same thing. You're pretty much answering the questions that we have. All right? So ultimately, for this assignment, you're going to be looking at 5 websites in total, 3 from your degree field, 2 from another degree field. If you want the last 2 be from 2 different degree fields, that is perfectly fine. But at least those 2 websites have to be from a different degree field. All right. Then from there, again, you're going to be adding images and stuff like that, so to kind of spruce it up there. Now, here is typically what we are looking for as far as the best type of scenario. My dog ate my mouse. This is the type of one that we are kind of looking for in this. If you end up turning in something like this, yes, you will get a semi-decent grade for it, but it definitely won't be an A-level work. And if you just turn in just a huge wall of text that'll crit me for over 9,000 and I die, definitely don't do that. All right. This is the type of work right here that we are looking for. Okay. Make sure that you incorporate images and stuff like that. So, some examples on this one. All right. So this is one here. As you see, they ended up putting their name up here. See, graphics design. They did their student number and everything. But what they did was they listed the degree field, where the site is, the URL, gave some images, and gave a good solid paragraph as to, answering the questions. Same thing for the second one. Gave some images, what degree field it was from, what the site was overall, and then the URL. Then a good solid paragraph for that. Same thing for website 3. Again, graphics design, here's all this good stuff. Solid paragraph on that. Then as you see, they went for game art and design websites. So they first did game art, talked about Blender, and did a good solid paragraph on that one, and then another one. This right here would be considered an A-level work because, again, as you see, it had some good visual flair in it. It had some nice design to it. It had some imagery to it, and it actually answered those questions. This was actually just a Word document, and all they did was go in and spruce it up. Matthew, no, you do not have to use citations for the images that you use. Then here's another one. Again, this one was done in Microsoft Word. So all she did was just add a little background picture to it. And she was a game design person as well. So game design, the site name, the URL, and did a good solid paragraph for that. Same thing for the first 3 websites, all game design, good solid paragraphs. Then she went into web design, did that paragraph, and stuck with web design for this one and did another solid paragraph on this. Kawana, if you want to use PowerPoint for it and then just save it out as a PDF, by all means. Yes, Telia, you do need to make sure that the Word document is saved as a PDF. But yeah, it's up to you on how you want to create these. These are just, again, there's just 2 examples of really highly impressive work that shows that they went in, they not only answered the questions and stuff like that and built it out. What's the difference between an A and A+ in those examples? Well, these are both A+ examples. An A1 would probably be maybe only 1 or 2 only 2 pictures used out of all 5 versus all 5 images were being used for each website. Also the formatting, if there's no formatting like this, And what I'm talking about formatting is, separating the columns and stuff like that. If there was nothing like that, that would probably lower the grade a little bit on that. It would probably be just a few points, but it could possibly bring you down from a complete A+ to an A. So these are the ones that would actually be in the A+ category. This one right here, this example in the center, this one would probably be maybe a low B or a high C range. This one right here is definitely a ew, and it would probably get definitely get a very low grade, because again, it's not broken up. There's no images. There's no formatting to it. It's bad overall. And again, these are all definitely works from previous students. So again, if you wanted to get to the best and the A+ category, make sure that you're shooting for this. And again, make sure that you take a look at the rubric itself. Kawana, I've actually done a few of those where I'd look at it and all of a sudden go, ugh, because it was just like you see the difference between a really well done project versus one that it looks like they probably took 10 minutes to do, and they just threw something together. That is the big one. It's usually the ones that wait until the last minute to turn in stuff, and they probably wait until about Sunday at 5 o'clock to do both assignments, and then they just rush through it. And that's really not the best way to be successful at this school. You get a whole entire week for each assignment, so it behooves you guys to make sure that you start working as early as possible and get them done as early as possible, because to me, I would rather have the weekend to be able to do whatever I want instead of holding it all off and then trying to do the assignments at the last minute and then maybe missing something, and then that would affect my grade. So it's better to do it early and take your time, ask the questions and stuff like that, and then instead of waiting until the last minute. But again, unfortunately, quite a few students end up taking the last minute route, and that's what ends up ultimately affecting their grade. But again, this is again under the early bird. So remember the Friday submittal. If you want to get up to 100%, make sure the assignment is submitted by Friday. It is in the PDF format. It has 5 or more websites done. We're looking for that magic number of 5. All right, and then ultimately you're just answering these specific questions in this. What did you learn? What inspired you? What was your takeaway from the website? And how will you use that specific information for the website? Yes, Eric, if you want to use your own 3D work and your renders for your own 3D work, that is perfectly fine. All right, and then again, the big one here too is making it yours. Make sure that you customize the work by adding headers, graphics, screen grabs, using a fun template, adding photos, icons, and other visual clues. Again, you're in a creative school, so definitely show me that creativity. Because typically what I end up doing is I look at the best assignments that come in, and I end up using those as examples for future students to be able to see and kind of inspire them to, try to push the envelope even further. So again, if you really want to make sure that you hit the exceptional category, you have to have at least 5 or more. If you did more than 5, it doesn't matter, Malia. If you wanted to do more, there is no max. Kawana, no, there is no need for a citation page. Again, ultimately, what we're looking for in that is the, just put the URL here on where you got it. Yes, Talia. If you wanted to do one website per page, yeah, typically you would see about 5 pages. But again, there's really no max on that. But again, just remember, even if you did more than 5 websites, there's no extra credit to it. You can't go past 100%. So, but again, if you want to do 6, that's perfectly fine. I even give a little shout outs in my comments to people going, hey, you went over and above and beyond. Excellent. Awesome. You know, you're an overachiever. Woohoo! Things like that. Just to kind of give the little recognition in there for those students who are going through my classes. But ultimately, as long as you make sure that you're hitting this column, you're doing extremely well. But the biggest thing here, and I'm going to be candid with you all, this class is not hard. It's just designed to make sure that you get a good idea of what your degree program is all about and what your industry is all about. But this class is not hard, so do not overthink things. Just read through the assignments and you should be fine, and look at the rubrics, because the rubrics will tell you specifically what we're looking for. So ultimately, again, don't worry about it. There's nothing tricky about these assignments. We are very straightforward with them. It's just saying, hey, just look at your industry, look at your degree program, and then talk to us about what you're doing. Crystal, for me, in my classes, I typically put the archives of the recorded sessions up in the announcement sections, but some of the other instructors end up messaging the link to you guys. So it really depends upon the instructor, but ultimately it would most likely either be in the announcement section or it would be in a message to each and every one of you. So that's how it would, that's where those things would be. All right. So again, just remember to make sure that you hit the exceptional categories on this. And the way we want this actual assignment is we're giving you the ability to go and take a look at what's already out in your industry currently and get a good solid understanding of what the industry is doing, what it's portraying, all the new trends and technology that is out there to keep you in the know. Because we want you to be adaptable, to be able to keep up with the times, and we don't want you to do what Blockbuster did and kind of went bankrupt because they didn't want to adapt their methods and stuff like that. Because back then, Blockbuster ended up having the chance to purchase out Netflix, and what ended up happening was they ended up saying, nope, sorry, we are not going to do this. And Netflix went, okay, never mind then. And next you know, Blockbuster went out of business because they were not keeping up with the times. So that's the reason why we want you to look at industry websites, is to keep up with the times and know where your industries are going so you can adapt to them. That way, when you get out and you graduate and you're finally out in the field, you are up to date with all the good stuff. Yeah, pretty much, Matthew. Same thing. That's why Toys R Us is going down as well. They're not keeping up with the times. And that's how the way everything goes. If you don't keep up with the times and you don't adapt, you pretty much get closed down. Well, Amazon tends to like purchasing everything, and Amazon is probably going to rule the world. Walmart is going to be a big nut to crack. All right, so any questions about the 1.2 assignment? Well, I think it would be Amazon, Google, and Disney. It'll be a Trinity fight on that scenario. Apple, they need to get up to date with their Mac PCs. The Mac PCs are still using the old technology. All right, cool. All right. Well, that is all I have for this evening. And if there are no other further questions, I saw one. Where can we see the recording of this? Again, Nicholas, it really depends upon which instructor you have. If you have me, Chris Newton, I tend to put that in the announcement section, so you can just go in the announcement section and click it. Other instructors end up messaging the link to you, so it really depends. But ultimately, check your announcement section first before and see where the link is from there. Travis, have I played the Sea of Thieves yet? Not yet, but I am looking at it and seriously contemplating purchasing it when I have time. All right. If there's no other questions, then I wish everybody a wonderful night. And remember, may the Schwartz be with you. Good night, everybody. Brian, I have not played SOCOM. It's over 1 million. There needs to be a Spaceball too.